This demo has several parts to it. So make sure that you separate your observations and you've labeled clearly which observation goes with each part. So here's our copper sulfate straight from the container before we've done anything with it. Really nice blue color. And the first thing I'm going to do to this copper sulfate is I'm going to grind it up with a mortar and pestle. Doesn't take much work to do this. The easy process. So there is my ground copper sulfate. Make note of any changes in appearance. I'm going to take some of that copper sulfate and I'm going to put it in the test tube so we can continue our demo. There it is in the test tube. I didn't put all of it in there. Just enough to make our observations. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do with this copper sulfate is we're going to heat it over a flame. I've got the Bunsen burner going. Here's my copper sulfate. Now watch closely with that test tube. So notice the water vapor building up on the inside of the test tube. You can also see the vapor coming out of the top. Note the other changes in the appearance of the copper sulfate. So I let our copper sulfate cool. And we're going to add a little bit of water to it. Distilled water. Pretty instantaneous change there. It did get slightly warm to the touch. I also noticed it was pretty close to the same color as my watch band. I'm going to add a little bit more water to this copper sulfate. And I'm going to stir it up and we're going to make a solution. So I'm just using the stir rod to break up any bigger pieces of that copper sulfate that might be there. So at this point, we now have a homogeneous mixture. To this homogeneous mixture, we're going to add a small piece of magnesium ribbon. So there it is. I gave it a little bend that would fit in the test tube better. Drop it in. And we can start to see a little bit of action pretty much straight away. Now this process does take a while, so we're going to do some cuts here for elapsed time, and we'll note the differences in appearance. So about 5 minutes later, about 10 minutes after we initially put the magnesium in, about 15 minutes after we put the magnesium in initially, and about 20 minutes after we put the magnesium in initially. So lots of observations there. But do you think this is a physical change or a chemical change?